This video is meant to accompany the research guide you have been given to go along with your students and sleep research paper. For the sake of this paper, you have to use 2 or 3 sources to write a 1 to 2 page MLA formatted research paper over the importance of sleep for students. I'm going to go through really quickly and give you a few tips and tricks for finishing this project. So you have in front of you a guide. I just want to show you quickly that all this guide, everything blue on this guide is a link. So I'm not going to come back and forth to this guide off and on all the time, but I do want you to notice you have a link here to an MLA documentation guide, a model paper, and several other documents that will help you. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you're starting to write an MLA paper is go ahead and set up your paper itself. It's the best way to collect sources. It's the best way to keep citations. It's the best way to make sure you don't lose anything or forget anything. The first part of an MLA cited paper is actually the header. The best font to use for MLA is Times New Roman, or sometimes teachers let you use Arial, 12-point font. And in the header, you're going to write a line, and you're going to type your last name. Let's pretend my last name is Smith. And then you're going to insert a page number by picking here. And it's going to number the pages for you. That will then follow you and stay on every single page of your research paper. After that, on the first page only, you need to type a heading. So I'm going to be Jane Smith, writing this paper for Miss Ratcliffe for her Principles of Education class. And we're pretending the paper is due on May 1st. I really don't know which class it is or the date. This is for the sake of just getting it up there. Then I'm going to, on my next line, center, and I'm going to put title here. You might know what you're going to title your paper, but if you don't, go ahead and make yourself a little reminder here that before you turn it in, you do need a title. Enter, go back to left aligned, indent, and I'm going to start typing my paper. So that way you have a document to go ahead and collect all your sources and keep up with everything you need to do in an MLA cited paper. I have created for you that you have a link to this, which is a sample paper. I have the last name, I have the header, I have the title of the paper, but then I actually wrote paragraphs, and these paragraphs go through and give you some reminders about how to do research, how to do parenthetical citations, how to organize a paper. You see that this paper is actually 2 full pages and a little bit of a third page, and then it has a works cited page down here for the 4th one. I just wanted to let you know you have a link to this document, which can be extremely useful to students who have not written a research paper lately, or maybe have never written a research paper. That's on your research guide. Okay, going back to our blank document, we now need to do some research to get sources to write about in our paper. And I'm going to go through 3 different ways with you that you can get sources, and then I'm going to show you different ways to cite those sources on your works cited page. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the add-ons button. And using the add-ons button, I'm going to get an add-on. And the add-on I want to get is called, let me close that and try that again because apparently it's not working right. Oh, there we go. It's the EasyBib add-on, which usually pops up first, but it didn't, so we'll search for it. I'm going to search for EasyBib. I'm going to see EasyBib Bibliography Creator, and I'm going to add that to my Google Chrome. It's going to ask me to verify that I am Emily Meisel, and then it's going to ask me to say, yes, we allow this. And then I should get a little pop-up that says EasyBib has been added to your Google Docs. See, little arrow working, and EasyBib has been added. Now when I go to add-ons and go to EasyBib Bibliography Creator, I'm going to get a nifty little right side toolbar here that's going to help me cite a source. We're just going to keep that there a minute and go look for some sources. Okay? So the first place I want to look, because I know it's the first place you're going to look, is in Google. And we're going to do a quick Google search for sleep, and I'm going to do elementary students. I don't know what you're exactly writing it about, but I feel like I want to narrow it just a little bit more. So I'm going to say sleep and elementary students. And you're going to see that I get 46 million plus results. That's a whole lot of articles for me to try to dig through. Now, what I personally like to do when I'm narrowing these sources is to go up here and click the News tab. Because clicking the News tab is going to give me access to more articles and less web pages. The big difference in that is most articles will have a name or a publication source attached to it that gives it some more credibility. Okay? To So let's just go here. Here's one from the Evening News and Tribune that says early school start times hinder teen learning. So let's pretend that's the article we want to use. I don't have time to read it and all that, but you will. So then this is the article I want to use. And I say, okay, I kind of like it. I'm going to right click and copy that link. I'm going to come back over to my document. And this is a website because I don't own a book and I'm not looking somewhere at journal articles. So then we're going to paste that website and we're going to search for it. And I'm going to see that on News and Tribune early, yes, this is the article I want to cite. So I hit the select button. And it's going to create for me a couple. It's going to create for me a citation. Whoops. I'm going to redo that. Paste it, search. This is the one I want only. I want to search for it. Oh, and it created it for me. Good. So this is George Myers in CNHI, Indiana. If I go back to my article, I see it is written by George Myers, CNHI, Indiana. Perfect. And I'm going to add that bibliography to my doc. So it created for me an actual works cited page. You see it titled works cited page. It did the citation. It even did the hanging indentation for me. So that is one way, if you're using a Google source, that you can get your MLA citation onto your paper. The next place I want to talk about finding sources is using either Google Scholar or Google Books. Google Scholar is a access to some peer-reviewed journal articles and some case law. And we're going to use that same search, sleep in elementary students' performances. And I'm going to do since 2015, just for the sake of doing it. And we're going to see that there are 16,700 results. Google Scholar has some benefits in that it's fairly easy to use, but there's also some cons to it in that not every single source has full access for you as just a Google user. Some of them require you to pay. Some of them you can only see the abstract. So it's a good place to maybe start looking, but I'm going to show you a better place in a minute to actually get journal articles. So let's pretend we're going to use this one just for the sake of using it. Notice when I open it, you'll see exactly what I was talking about, which is you can read the findings, you can read the abstract, you can get to the citation, but the only way to actually see the whole thing is either pay $47 or to sign in. We don't want to do that. Okay, but let's pretend that you had found one that actually did have full access and you want to use it. To get a citation for one of these, all you have to do is click the quotation marks back on your original search screen. And clicking the quotation marks back on the original search screen gives you an MLA citation that you can, maybe, there we go, copy and paste straight to your MLA citation page. Now notice it doesn't match. It's messed it up a little bit. We'll fix all that in a minute. But let's pretend we did use that source. So there it is. Now, let's say for the sake of using Google one more time, you don't want to use Google Scholar, but you want to try to find a book. Google has this really cool thing called books.google.com. And on books.google.com, you can look for ebooks. So let's see sleep and student performance. And the neat search trick in here is I can go from any books to the free ones, which means I know I can see the whole book for free. And it also usually limits the search results. So let's pretend, actually I don't want to use any of those, but let's pretend you did want to, this one, just for the sake of saying it. Then once you open it, you see that you can see the whole book here, which is kind of cool. And sometimes over here there's a citation button. You usually just have to play with it in Google because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. Okay, so then there's a book way to find books. Now I want to show you the best place, in my opinion, to get sources for what you're trying to do. As a student at Hudson High School, the Media Center has bought access to online databases for you to use. They're going to be current, they're going to be relevant, they're going to be up to date, and they're going to be reliable. So if you'll go to the Media Center's webpage, from the Hudson High School's webpage, we are going to go over here on the side to Media Center Resources. And on Media Center Resources, it's actually going to bring you to a screen that is Hudson High School. And you're going to have to log in. Each of you have a login for this, even if you don't know it. And the login is your alpha key. And the password is the number 0 plus your 4-digit lunch number. And when I submit, we are going to be logged into Hudson High School as Buzz the Hornet. Once we are logged in and you see a name, we're going to go over here to collections, because I have created a collection for you of the databases that we have bought as Hudson High School. When we click databases, we have all of these databases that you can search and use to conduct your research. For the sake of time and showing you the most sources at one time, my favorite place to start is the Power Search by Gale. Because the Power Search by Gale is going to search all of the databases at one time. So I'm going to go to Power Search by Gale and I'm going to search for sleep and student performance. And I'm just going to do a basic search, and you'll see that I have 261 magazine articles, 1,339 academic journals, 35 books, and almost 2,000 newspapers. So let me just do the past year for the sake of narrowing this down some. It might narrow it too much, but it really didn't. So then we see right here we have an article from Education Week that is titled Why Lunch, Exercise, Sleep, and Air Quality Matter at School. Sounds like a great source. For the sake of time, I'm just going to pretend we are using that source. So you can see the full text of the source. That's one reason I love using our school databases. And then you can use the citation tool over here to pick the MLA 8th edition and select and copy that citation. I go back to my paper and I paste it. Okay? So now let's pretend that those are all of the sources I'm going to be using for my research paper. This does not look right because it has to all match. So what I do is I hit the Control A button and it's going to select the entire paper, which is perfectly fine. And I'm going to change everything to be Times New Roman. I'm going to change everything to be 12-point font. And this last one was highlighted, which I don't know why, but this is easy to get rid of. We're going to go to the little highlighter and we're going to hit none. So now we have 3 fairly well formatted MLA citations. I personally don't like to have the links, so I always remove those. And then the last thing is works cited pages have to be alphabetized. So this B source here would need to go in front of the M source. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it alphabetically where it needs to go. And now I have a really good works cited page. And if I do this while I'm doing my research and while I'm building my paper, I'll automatically know what to use in my parenthetical citations inside my paper. Let's pretend up here that my very first sentence, which it would not be, but for the sake of, whatever. My very first sentence is, in her article, Maximizing Mindful Learning, Mindful Awareness Intervention Improves Elementary School Students. And I'm just going to stop there, if I can spell students right. Okay, comma. Laura Bakosh says this is a quote, because I'm not going to get a quote from the article, right? Then I'm going to close my quotation marks. I'm going to do parenthetical citations. I'm going to see that that happened on page 60. So I'm just going to put 60 with a period. I'm also going to right click and spell check to fix that underlined word. Okay, now I've just realized something that is bothering me, because this is supposed to all be double spaced, but that is not double spaced. So one more time, I'm going to Control A. I'm going to go to my formatting, line spacing, and I'm going to make sure everything is double spaced. And that is what an article is supposed to look like. So having my works cited page down here being built while I'm writing my paper lets me make sure that whatever it is I'm giving credit for is the thing I should be giving credit for. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you really quickly, and you have links to all of this, but I provided for you a source information guide link that shows you the different types of sources, goes through a description of them, and then gives you some examples. I also have given you a guide for how to use sources with academic integrity that talks about the different ways to paraphrase, the different ways to quote, what is and is not plagiarism. It's just a pretty useful guide if you're having trouble knowing how to use your sources correctly. I've also given you a link to a presentation called Evaluating Sources Using the CRAP Test. And I know that sounds inappropriate, but it isn't, because the CRAP test stands for Currency, Relevance, Authority, Accuracy, and Purpose. And on each of these 5 characteristics, it gives you some really good questions to ask yourself while you're looking at and evaluating a source. Once again, if you have any questions or need any help with the research component of this process, please come see me in the Media Center. It's my job and I love to help. Thanks and have a great day.